Hello everybody and welcome to this industrial design / exhibit design tutorial in which I'm going to show you how you can redesign this by Apple perfectly designed public transportation booth in Shapr3D. Fun fact, once upon a time I actually sat on this one. This is going to be a special tutorial because I am going to supply you all the necessary sketches in a shared file. Description is in the link of this video. And then I will use my pre-recorded steps in the history to show you how step by step I actually built this design. And I'm going to talk a little bit about also the building strategy and how I explored various approaches for how to, for example, build actually this surface, and then later how I also figured out how to design in Shapr literally in no time such a nice swept surface. Okay, and with all that said, let's go ahead and do it. As you can see, I have the booth and the base folder hidden, so we can focus on the bench right now. And in the history, I will right click and go to my sketch and create a breakpoint. So this is the sketch as you also have in the file I created. This sketch represents half a cross section of the bench. And then I extruded this one down a little bit, and the amount of extrusion is around 26.5 inches. Then I did rotate this face. Now you select a face, you select an edge, and you rotate it. That's what I did. The purpose of this I will explain later. And then I created another sketch. Now you have this one too. This one is a little bit thinner and not as wide. And I extruded this one down to 6.5 inches. Now from here, I would like to have a nice curved swoop. So best way is you select a face, go to sketch, and then I created this sketch here. Point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 control points with the control point spline. And these points all have to be essentially on the same line like this line. So we get a curve that is G3 to this line, super smooth. Now this curve I could use to sweep actually this. So I selected this face, selected that, and went sweep. With this one done, I have now actually these faces, and I can loft between them. The loft here is G2, 1 and 2 for the magnitudes, or 2, you can play with this around. You see 2 here is way too aggressive. 1 is much better. 1 here, yeah, 2. Actually, this one is 2, this one is 1. So I see that now there. No, but this is not really an ideal result what we have. Don't really like how this looks. Plus, from the top, this is a straight edge. I would like this already to be a little bit rotated. How can I do that? So this loft body in my history, I deleted. You can also simply delete the loft feature. And then this face, I extruded up a little bit. And then with that done, I selected this body and then I used the commands to move this around a little bit. So from the left, you can see it's a little bit up. From the front, you see how this is rotated. This edge kind of like points down to this corner. So this ideally should be a line. And then also from the top, you see how this is rotated. Now I delete actually this swept body, and then I selected these two faces and simply do a loft. Pretty cool, no? So you see like from the top now how this lofted body has actually this edge. The problem of a solid loft is, however, that in this case, we can have the issue of that the start and end points are okay, but this somewhere in the middle, it gets squeezed. How do we fix this? Easy way, you select the interface, for example, and then we we expand the surface. This is what I did here. I think I use, 0.375 inches, and this is 0.5. So then I did a shell command. And to do the shell command, now you select the body, isolate, and you select all the faces you want to adjust, just not the outside face. And this one. And then go to shell, and you punch in that value. And now you basically have a surface that is perfectly parallel inside and outside. Pretty cool. This box can now be removed. That was only a helper. And now we can do a loft. There we are. You can see I used G2 and a magnitude of 2. This might be now a good moment to talk about what was the purpose of rotating that face. So look actually how this changes everything. So you can direct actually the flow with that a little bit. Also, because this is an object, we can move this still around. Can rotate it, make silly designs, no? But with the position of this cube, I first dictate how this is blended, and then I influence how this one is blended. Yeah. Now we can select all these outer edges of these parts and then simply do a fillet. We want to mirror everything later. So I selected this face and expanded it, offset it with the face offset. And now I can select all the parts, do one mirror, do another mirror, and then I Boolean actually the centerpieces together. And then I Boolean the left and then the right halves together. Because in the end, this will be all individual pieces. Very good. Perfect. And then we can select these edges we have here and all at once add a fillet command. So we have a nice indication that there is a material separation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you can build this pretty cool looking bench. It's actually pretty easy. Well, it took me a day to figure that out, how to model this best in this program. Every program has different possibilities. And this actually turned out to be the most effective and productive way. And also look how beautiful kind of like these surfaces are rotated, and it all flows really nicely. Okay, so every bench also needs to have a booth. And I'm going to show you a quick rundown how to build the basic elements. So in the demo file, and there is also the sketch for the booth, which lines up kind of like with this scan. Maybe I keep the scan also activated. The bench now I turned off, so my modeling doesn't interface with it. And then I extruded this sketch, that sketch backwards. And then I hit the sketch and offset the face to the front. Then I selected the front face and bottom edge, rotated that face, and then I rotated it also on top. So I select this face and this edge. It's a very simple commands. Good. Here comes actually now the funny way how to do this. I did add an offset command to move this one up by around 2.75 inches. And then I rounded the top edges with this value, so 12 inches and G2. And then I filleted those bottom edges with 10 inches G2. I want to run actually a profile across this line, but that's a line, and kind of like with a roller coaster. Now you have left and right track, and the track surface bends. Okay, I don't have a track surface. What's the easiest way? Well, we use the chamfer command. So I then actually added a chamfer command. So I flattened that edge. Now I have actually a surface along the sweep command can run along, which is pretty cool. I created here, I went to this side view, created actually the sketch. Here you can see the dimensions, 2.5 and 6 inches. Yeah, that looks like 55 for the arc. This is also centered. These lines are perpendicular to this line. I drew this line first. This line is parallel to that line. So everything is in a nice 90-degree angle. And then when you're done, you can simply select the sketch profile and click, 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 and click, click, and do a sweep. Sorry, one more time. This one, I want to go across these edges. I shouldn't have selected the faces. There. And look at this, how amazing this works. You see the faces are always, I'm talking about those, are parallel to their target faces. It's pretty cool. That was a really interesting modeling strategy I discovered while doing this. So there we are. You will not be able to close this, but there we can simply select the end faces and loft it. And then plane along edge. Yeah, okay, I did this. So I went to construction along edge at angle and selected this point, sorry, this axis, and rotated this construction plane. So it's 90 degrees rotated, goes right through it. That's important for the left and right. Get the mirror plane. Then now on this plane, I created a new sketch. Now there we can see it. You can roughly eyeball it. I drew a line here and I drew a line there. Then I drew this rest and then I set this point to this line coincident and the same there. So this way actually it sits or runs through there. That sketch will be very useful because then we can do an extrusion and then I fillet the lower sharp corner and then I do a shell to develop that sheet that sits on top. Then I hide actually this body, create another piece from the same sketch, but much smaller. And then I do the fillet again. And then I do a shell, but this time the shell goes actually to the opposite side. So not here, but down there. You see how this is then expanding. And let me hide this one. And because they all share here this edge, then I selected this one among there and did basically a Boolean subtract. Now I cut this one off and then I did a delete to remove those. Then I made a copy to one side and then I did a mirror across this construction plane to the other side. Very good. Okay, no. Technically speaking, at this point, we have now kind of like created a beautiful booth, which we then can put into an environment, add the materials for it, and there we are. As a bonus, for those who are interested in how can we now create glass sheets that perfectly are positioned. This was actually also pretty easy to do. I needed to bring this body back because you see that is rotated. And what I did was I created a new sketch. There we are. Drew here a line on this flat face now where it intersects, and then with a thickness of 0.25 of an inch and 60 inches long, this line parallel to here, the other is perpendicular. I created this rectangular sketch and then simply extruded a little bit, and then I used the replace face command. So that face to that face and go replace. Folds it basically over it. So I did this one time and I did this two times, and there it was. And then across this construction plane, I mirrored this over. Then comes essentially on this construction plane, I make a new sketch. Then I project in these edges into that sketch, and let me select that sketch. There we are. You see there are these projections. There's this line I drew. I made this tangent, vertical, 0.25 of an inch. Same thing at the bottom. This is all aligned. And that way then one extrusion and then face replacement, plonk. There we are. And then actually that block can go. The glass actually needs a little bit of support. So I created so on the bottom of this glass, I created a new sketch. There we are. There's one line that goes to a midpoint, another line. I drew here a line perpendicular through the glass. These go to the midpoint, everything 90 degrees. These two lines are equal. And then this way you can actually develop actually a symmetry very easily. So when I move this over now, there you see how that works. Super easy. And then that was simply extruded down to the ground. Then the top was extruded up. And then the glass I used to cut a groove into these metal elements. There we are. Sure. Okay. How do we do then actually the TV? So on this, actually I didn't do this on that. I used actually here the scene plane. I made a new sketch. There we are. There's an interesting error. Not sure what that is. Ignore it. So I projected in the sharp edge of this body into my sketch. Then I made an offset 0.25 of an inch. I drew from the center a line. I drew here two arcs, made them also tangent to those. The arc is tangent to this line. I drew a very basic box. Now, nothing too complicated. And then use actually more solid modeling to develop everything. I see here's actually a fix. So, oh, I see there's a missing reference. Let's see. where the problem is. One second, I have this figured out just in a moment and isolate. Ah, there. Okay, here. New line there. See, now it's filled. Not sure what. That must have been a bug actually. There. Perfect. And let's see. It will still complain because I created a new rectangle. That is fine. And use sketch element, and then here now I can select the sketch profile. I cannot because there is things actually in my way. So this one I will not isolate. I need to hide actually some sketches in my case. So sorry for this accident. I leave this one in, but so it shows you if there are hiccups, how you can work around it. Okay, so fix one more time. There now. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So that's kind of like a metal piece that's folded over. There is our box, this box and this piece I actually mirrored over. And then I simply use direct modeling, push this one down, shell actually both boxes, move the interfaces a tick forward. Did another sketch. Also, yeah, that's for the base. Made the base here. Extrusion. There's the base. Cool. Pushed it over. Yeah, and then actually this bench that needs to move over a little bit. Yeah, and that actually is the whole process how to design this piece. It looks pretty complicated because it's also so clean, but once you understand actually how to use the different tools, this is a pretty easy design actually. Okay, very good. And that's it.